On July 1st, Pennsylvania started sending out property tax rebate checks worth up to $1,500. And most of the seniors who qualify won't get one. They were never denied, they just never applied. And nobody from the county is going to call and tell them. I'm Jim Stevenson, a realtor here in the Philadelphia suburbs, and if you're a senior trying to figure out whether you can actually afford to stay in your home, these are the numbers that change that decision. Let's start with the part that stings. Pennsylvania does not let seniors stop paying property taxes. There's no automatic senior exemption. There's no statewide senior tax freeze. Philadelphia has a freeze for low-income seniors inside the city, and people hear it and they assume it works the same way out here. It doesn't. If you own a home in Bucks or Montgomery County, there is no freeze waiting for you. And yes, there are bills in Harrisburg right now that would wipe out school property taxes completely. Lawmakers have been pitching versions of that idea for 40 years and nothing has passed. Even the fastest version on the table wouldn't kick in before 2029, so don't plan your budget around it. So here's what actually exists. 3 layers. A state rebate that sends you an actual check, a homestead exclusion that shrinks the taxable value of your home, and a local layer of school district programs that most homeowners have never heard of, even when they've lived in that district for 40 years. And every single layer follows the same rule. You have to ask. You're probably thinking the county already knows your age. They know your address, they mail you a tax bill every year, so if you qualified for relief, surely they just apply it. That makes sense. But here's what actually happens. Nothing. The county is not required to enroll you in any of these programs, and they don't. The state's own position is that the homeowner has to apply every time, and for the biggest program, every single year. Relief in Pennsylvania is opt-in. Overpaying is the default setting. This is the first thing I check with senior homeowners before we ever talk about whether a move even makes sense. All right, layer 1, the property tax rent rebate program. This is the big one, and it's run by the state, funded by the lottery and gaming money, not by your school district. Here's how it works. You pay your property taxes like normal, then you file a form called the PA 1000, and the state sends you a check for somewhere between $380 and $1,000 depending on your income. Here's who qualifies. You need to be 65 or older, or a widow or widower who's at least 50, or an adult with a permanent disability. And your household income has to be $48,110 or less. And here's where almost everyone gets this wrong. And it's the single most expensive misunderstanding in this entire video. Only half of your Social Security counts toward that limit. Let me say that again, half. Say you and your spouse bring in $40,000 a year from Social Security and another $20,000 from a pension. You look at $60,000 total, compare it to the $48,110 limit, and toss the application in the recycling. Wrong move. The state only counts $20,000 of that Social Security. Your eligibility income is $40,000. You qualify. That's a $380 check you almost threw away. Push it further. A couple living entirely on Social Security can bring in $90,000 a year and still qualify because the state only counts $45,000 of it. Most people don't believe that until they run their own numbers. So make sure you run your own numbers. And the tiers work in your favor. The lower your income, the bigger the check. Under $8,550 of counted income, the rebate is $1,000. Up to $16,040, it's $770. Up to $19,240, it's $460. And from there up to $48,110, it's $380. Lower income homeowners can also get a supplemental kicker on top of that pushes the total as high as $1,500. 2 more things on this program, and they both matter. First, renters qualify too. Same age rules, same income limit. If your mom moved into an apartment in Lansdale after selling the house, she can still file. Second, this is not a one and done. You must reapply every single year. The state confirmed last year that more than 513,000 Pennsylvanians got rebates. The ones who got checks were simply the ones who filed. The deadline for rebates on your 2025 taxes was just extended to December 31st, 2026, and checks started going out July 1st. So the window is wide open right now. You file online at mypath.pa.gov, no account needed, or by mail, and help is free. Your area agency on aging, your state rep's office, hundreds of locations across the state will sit with you and fill it out. Nobody legitimate charges for this. So that's the state check. Hang on to that PA 1000 because the third layer in this video literally requires it. But first, the second layer is probably sitting on your tax bill right now, either working for you or missing entirely. Layer 2, the homestead exclusion. This one isn't senior specific, but seniors are the ones I find missing it most often, usually because of one paperwork event years ago that they never connected to their taxes. Here's the mechanics. The homestead exclusion knocks a chunk off the assessed value of your primary residence before your school tax is calculated. It doesn't touch the county or township portion, school tax only. But school tax is the monster on your bill. In most of Bucks and Montgomery County, the school district takes roughly 70 to 75% of your total property tax. So that's exactly where you want the discount. The dollar amount varies by district because each district gets a different slice of the state's gaming money. Quick math so you can picture it. If your district excludes $10,000 of assessed value and the school millage is 30 mils, that's $300 off your bill every year for as long as it stays on file. Modest money, but it's $3,000 over a decade for filling out one form. Now here's the trap. If you remember one practical thing from this video, make it this. Any new deed wipes it out. Refinancing can trigger it in Bucks County, where a newly recorded deed means a brand new homestead application. Putting the house in a trust does the same thing. New deed, debt exclusion. I mean homeowners who did smart estate planning 8 years ago and have been quietly overpaying their school taxes ever since because nobody told them the homestead status died with the old deed. Checking takes 2 minutes. Pull out your school tax bill and look for a line item reducing your assessed value. In Montgomery County, you can look up your homestead status on the county property records site. In Bucks, call the Board of Assessment at 215-348-6219. Anywhere else in Pennsylvania, one call to your county assessment office gets you the same answer. If it's missing, the application deadline is March 1st every year. Miss it and you wait a full year. So now you've got the state check and the homestead line item. But that's not even the part most people are leaving on the table, because a growing number of Pennsylvania school districts will pay you a second rebate on top of the state one, and almost nobody knows their own district does it. Living on one side of a district line can quietly put hundreds of extra dollars in your pockets while your neighbor 2 streets over gets nothing. And since this layer depends entirely on your exact district, if you're starting to wonder whether staying or selling makes most sense for your house, that's a conversation I have with homeowners every week, and it's totally free. Book a call using the link in the description, or start with my free Pennsylvania downsizing calculator using the QR code on screen. You punch in your home's value, your tax bill, what you paid years ago, and what the next place might cost. It shows you the monthly cost of staying versus moving with these exact rebates built in, and what the move itself would cost you. It even flags whether the sale would trigger a tax bill. It takes 2 minutes and nobody asks for your email. Here in my area alone, look at how this stacks up. Central Bucks, and that covers Doylestown, Warrington, Chalfont, Buckingham, New Britain, launched theirs last year. They match 50% of whatever the state sent you, up to $750, and the income limit matches the state's. So if the state sent you $1,000, Central Bucks adds $500. The new application window opened July 1st and runs through June 30th of next year. Council Rock goes further. They match 100% of the state rebate for homeowners capped at $1,500. Pennsbury has its own senior rebate. Neshaminy has run one since 1977. Bensalem has one. Over in Montgomery County, the county lists a dozen districts with rebate programs. North Penn, and that's Lansdale, Hatfield, Towamencin, North Wales, matches 65% of the state rebate this year, up to $1,000 back. Abington, Wissahickon, Upper Merion, Hepburn, Horsham, the list keeps going. Most of these district rebates have the same fine print, including all 3 of the big matching programs. You have to receive the state rebate first, then send the district a copy of your PA 1000 and proof of the state check, which means seniors who skip the state application aren't just losing the state money, they're locked out of the district money too. 1 skipped form, 2 lost checks. And wherever you live in Pennsylvania, the move is the same. Call your school district's business office and ask whether they offer a property tax rebate program. That's a 5-minute call that can pay you every year for the rest of your life in that house. 2 more programs deserve a quick mention because each one is huge for the right person. Montgomery County itself not the school districts, the county, runs a tax deferral for homeowners 65 and over with income of $35,000 or less. It lets you postpone increases in your county tax instead of paying them now. Bucks County has nothing like it at the county level, which tells you exactly how local this stuff gets. And if you're a veteran with 100% permanent service-connected disability from wartime service, Pennsylvania can wipe out your property taxes entirely. County, township, school, all of it. That one runs through your county's Director of Veterans Affairs, and the help is free. Which brings up a warning worth 10 seconds. The state never calls asking for your bank account information, and nobody legitimate charges you to file these applications. If someone wants a fee to get your rebate going, hang up. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. A few months back, I'm on a Zoom call with a couple in their 70s up in the Central Bucks area. They called me to talk about selling because the tax bill had gotten ahead of what they bring in each month. So before we talked listings, I asked 3 questions. Are you 65? Is your income under the limit after we cut the Social Security in half? Is the homestead exclusion on your tax bill? They qualified for a $770 state rebate they'd never filed before. Central Bucks would match half of it, another $385. And their homestead exclusion had vanished when they put the house in a trust 5 years earlier. All in, they were overpaying by about $1,400 a year. Call it $115 a month. The reason I'm telling you this is because they were about to make a 6-figure life decision selling a paid-off house based on a tax number that was $1,400 too high. They may still move someday, but now it'll be because they want to, with the right numbers in front of them. One more tool in the box, and this one comes with a warning label: the assessment appeal. You can challenge the assessed value the county uses to calculate your taxes, and sometimes you should. Bucks County hasn't reassessed since 1972, so the county uses a ratio to connect old assessments to today's values, and when your assessment sits above what that ratio says it should be, an appeal can genuinely cut your bill. But appeals can backfire. The board can look at your evidence and raise your assessment instead. Montgomery County says it flat out. Filing an appeal does not guarantee a reduction. So never appeal just because your bill went up. Appeal because the math says you're overassessed. And this is exactly where a realtor earns their keep, because the whole case rests on comparable sales, and pulling the right comps is what I do all day. Deadlines and fees vary by county. In Bucks and Montgomery, it's early August with a small filing fee. Get the math checked before you spend it. So here's what this all comes down to. 3 moves in order. File the PA 1000, even if you think your income is too high, because half your Social Security doesn't count. Check your school tax for the homestead line, especially if you've refinanced or retitled the house. Then look up whether your school district pays a second rebate, because in much of Bucks and Montgomery County, it does. That's how you stop overpaying on the home you're in. But here's what most people don't realize next. Even with every rebate working, there's a moment when staying still costs more than moving. And when seniors do sell around here, the way they handle the sale decides whether they hand the IRS a 5-figure check that was completely avoidable. Watch the video on screen next, because I'll show you the tax bomb that catches downsizing homeowners in Pennsylvania and exactly how to step around it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.